And we're live. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for tuning in to this podcast. This is the Valor Report. I am the voice of Valor, Joe Tate. Joining me is the founder of Valor Pro Wrestling, Joe Money. And we are honored and privileged to have our two guests today who are locking horns this Saturday at Combat Zone, the POW MIA champion, the Mighty Tortuga, and his challenger, Victor Ursus, who has been making a splash in VPW over the last few months. Guys, thank you so much for taking the time today.
Thank you for having me here today.
It's my pleasure. I'd love to start with you, champ. If you could tell us a little bit about your military background. For those who don't know, the POW MIA Championship is for veterans of the armed forces only. Only veterans of the United States military can compete for this championship. If you could touch on your history and maybe what winning and becoming the first POW MIA Championship has meant to you, that would be great.
Yeah, of course. Well, first of all, I joined the Marine Corps in 2009. I went to boot camp. I spent, 4 years in the Marine Corps. I served with the 3rd Battalion, 5th Marines. My MOS was a 0311 infantryman. Going to Afghanistan in 2010 for about 7 months, it really hit, in the heartstrings. It meant a lot to me to be able to go out, serve, and do something different. I was the first person in my family to be a Marine. A lot of soldiers, a couple sailors. I was the first Marine, and I was really proud of it. And then when Joe contacted me, invited me to be a part of Valor Pro Wrestling, I knew it was something that I really, really wanted to be a part of. Everyone thinks I'm just some turtle, but to be honest, I'm more than just a turtle. I am the shell shock and the body rock and the big rig machine. I try to embody the Marine Corps in everything I do, from kicking ass in the ring to kicking ass on the outside of the ring. I try to display that every chance I get.
Well, thank you so much for that. And then do you think you get some of that mindset coming up through boot camp and going out on tour?
Honestly, yeah. I mean, I got to, stay tough-minded, open-minded. In the Marine Corps, there's a saying, one mind, any weapon. And that's exactly what I am. I'm just one mind, any weapon. I can do it all with anything.
I love that. And then for those who are watching, don't get it twisted. Turtle power is a thing. Anybody from we all about that turtle power where I'm from. Victor, thank you so much again for joining us. Could you tell us a little bit about your time in the military? How'd you get started and what that looked like for you?
I joined the Army in 2006. I was an 11 Bravo infantryman. I went to Iraq from October of 07 through January of 09. We had one of the long deployments over there where with the troop surge. The Army has got me ready in so many ways, not just for being in the ring, but in life in general. But one thing it did teach me is once I have a mission, once I have a target, I'm going to get it no matter what happens to me. Whether I'm dying with the last breath, I'm going to accomplish that mission no matter what.
That's exciting for a guy like me to hear because I do have the honor of calling this match on Saturday. And what's interesting to me is hearing that that's kind of both of your guys' mindsets, right? Like that's what's instilled in you. And so when you got two guys, and be honest, it's you guys are meaty men, right? So we're in for a banger of a match with two guys who won't accept failure. And so selfishly as a fan, it's going to be awesome to watch. Tortuga, I would love if you could touch a little bit on, I know that Joe Money invited you to be a part of Valor Pro Wrestling, but what initially made you think, that's what I'm going to do. That's what I love. I'm going to be a wrestler. So what drew you there? What brought you there? And then who do you draw inspiration from?
Yeah, well, when I was a little kid, I spent a lot of time watching wrestling. My grandfather, he was my father figure growing up. And unfortunately, he passed away in 2005. I was about 15 around the time. And, I just continued watching wrestling. I became a father of my own. I got 3 kids, and I would sit there and watch wrestling with them. And I remember I'd always tell them, like, man, dude, I want to do that. And, lo and behold, back in 2018, believe it or not, I was watching Total Divas with the family. And they just happened to be training at a training facility in San Marcos, which happened to be SoCal Pro Wrestling. which is where I embarked on my pro wrestling career. And it was at that moment that I went to that warehouse. I went for a one-day tryout, like most people do. And that one-day tryout turned into, today, where I'm, currently the Valor Pro United States champion.
Heard that first ever. Absolutely. It was an honor for me to be there on the night when you won the championship. And just, personally, from seeing how you represent that championship, I just want to say thank you for all of us at Valor Pro. Victor, same question. What inspired you to become a wrestler? Who did you, and you know what, not to hesitate a little bit here, but that's a common story, Tortuga. Like we all, is our dads or our grandpas or even our grandmothers, right? Like it's generational. It's the same story here for me. And it's the same with me passing it on to my kids. So it's beautiful to see. Victor, is it a similar story for you?
Yeah, for me, it was my uncle. I really didn't have a father figure. So my uncle was the guy who kind of got me into it with old WCW. He was a fan of the Steiner brothers. And just from there, it hit for a long time. It was watching wrestling all the time that I could, thinking that I could do it. And I did start a little late. I started my career a little late. I'm a little older. But the thing is, I have that mindset that if my breath is still going and my heart's still beating, like I can do it. Like there's nothing that I can't accomplish. So like it's the perseverance, and the person who I enjoyed watching a lot, it was Stone Cold Steve Austin.
What?
He was my my guy.
That's awesome. Thank you guys for sharing that with us. And then I want to kind of get to what we can expect this Saturday, April 12th at the VFW Hesperia Post 2924 in Hesperia. It's going down. Tortuga, you will be defending your POW MIA United States Championship against Victor Ursus, who over the last few months, as I've said, has made a big splash in VPW. What can the fans expect, and what are you guys expecting from one another, and how are you going to handle that?
Honestly, for me, you can expect one thing, and that's I'm not going to give up, and I'm going to walk out Valor Pro champion still. With all due respect, Victor, you're a big guy. We come face to face in that Rumble when I went on to be, the first ever United States champion. But here's the thing. There's nothing that's going to stop me from retaining this championship this Saturday. I guarantee you that.
That's a guarantee. You heard it here first at the Valor Report. Victor Ursus, your response.
Tortuga, I've been watching your career, here and there, and I know you're making big waves, big splashes. You're champion wherever you go, and you got my respect for that. But as soon as that bell rings, and as soon as it's on, there's nothing that's going to stop me from raising that title over my head with my foot on your lifeless body.
Wow. Thank you guys so much for that. I just have to say again, selfishly, from my perspective, it's going to be a really fun, big match for me to call. Joe Money, I wonder if you'd like to add anything. So to me, it'll be, you guys did meet in that Battleground Rumble, but this will be your first time solo, head-to-head, one-on-one here at Valor Pro. And I'm really looking forward to it. Joe Money, if you could give a little context on what made you book these guys.
Okay, well, first let's start off with understanding that this night, when these two men go at it, there's a stipulation. That POW MIA title, a United States title that we share with our fans, the viewers, and our wrestlers, the only way you can defend and lose that title and win that title is by stipulation. So Tortuga, this is your belt. You choose a stipulation you want for that match. The way this works is whoever holds that belt creates the stipulation. If they choose to do a gauntlet match, winner chooses it. If he wants to do a lumberjack match, the winner, the holder of the belt, chooses a type of match they want that night. So Tortuga, what type of match are we having that night?
On that night, I've chosen one match that represents the Marine Corps very well, and there's that red stripe along the pants of the dress blues. It's called the blood stripe. So on Saturday, Victor Ursus, me and you are going one-on-one in a red strap match. Get ready.
Red strap match at Combat Zone, Saturday, April 12th at the VFW Hesperia Post 2924 in Hesperia. Don't miss it. We can't wait to see it, guys. Thank you so much for joining us here today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
In 2024, I walked into Valor Pro Wrestling, not knowing what I was going to get myself into. And I entered the tournament to become the first ever United States champion. See, this POW championship means everything to me. I came out here today and I was able to pay honor and tribute to the men and women that didn't make it back. And every time I carry this championship, it lets me feel like I'm doing my part in remembering them. And in 2025, I plan on being a dominant champion. So let this be a challenge to anyone that wants to step up, anyone who's ever served and is an active wrestler right here, right now. Step up and take on the shell-shocking, the body-rocking, the big green machine, the mighty Tortuga. Get some.
Tortuga, your open challenge, although brave, is very foolish, and I'm here to answer the call. Once we're strapped together, there is no escaping your imminent fate. The mighty turtle will fall. On Saturday, April 12th, in Hesperia, California, Valor Pro's Combat Zone, I will hoist that POWMIA title over my head, and I will assert that Valor Pro is the Warbear's new hunting ground.